Recliner Sports Reporters, welcome back to Keep the Change podcast. We've been on a well needed break. Football season wrapped up, and we need to take some good time away. We need to get in the lab too, because right now we have the second best time of the year, which is NCAA March Madness. Which is also coming right in time with the third best time, in my opinion, of the year, MLB opening day. So lots of things all happening now, but we're back. I'm Mac. For those of you joining us for the first time, for those who are coming and stopping by again, welcome back. But for those for the first time, I'm Mac, and with me as always is Robbie, and we are Recliner Sports Report. Robbie, how are we doing today, buddy?
Oh, doing good, man. It was a beautiful first day of spring here in Ohio. It was a high of I think 36 degrees. Had some snow flurries. Gotta love it. It's getting beautiful out. Summertime's just around the corner.
Spring has sprung, and
Yeah.
that was always my favorite time in Ohio for sure. Um, and when spring comes, that means it is March Madness time, and wow, there it was some craziness that ensued in the conference championship games, but nonetheless, brackets have been set. There's a couple playing games that will be played. Today is Tuesday right now, so there's games being played right now. Wagner just beat Howard. I know there's one more, I think Colorado, Virginia, and then uh, one more tomorrow on Wednesday. But
Yeah.
then, well, that's pretty much it. But the rest of the brackets are set. So we're gonna
Yeah.
give,
One big question real quick before we get
yeah,
started on those playing games. With Howard losing, is this the end of the 8 year Seth Towns NCAA basketball career? The guy is older than Jason Tatum, was an eighth year senior on Howard this year. Can he find a way to get a ninth year of eligibility?
I'm sure there's got to be something that he can get accomplished. But that
Right.
hats off to him. I mean, he
And
better have his master's by then.
so graduated from Northland High School in Columbus. I believe he went to Harvard first after that. I think he went to Harvard for 3, 4 years, something like that. Was at Ohio State for 1 or 2 seasons. I think he went somewhere else and then went to Howard. So I could be wrong. This could only be the third, but I think this might be his fourth different team as well.
Getting the full college experience right there. I mean, he's got to have his
He's a
doctorate
real
by then.
life Van Wilder.
Yeah, I mean, by that point, you got to have your doctorate, right? If you've been in
Yeah.
school
Just
that
to
long.
put it in perspective, he's older than Jason Tatum.
Yeah, and that's saying something, especially since that guy has been balling out. Um, wow, that's crazy. I did not know that. That's a fun fact for the day
And
right
think
there.
about that 8 years. He's playing against kids that were in fourth grade his senior year in high school.
Wow, I never when you put it like that, um, something's wrong there. You,
Yeah, that just doesn't seem right.
something's wrong.
But like we said, good for you.
Good
Good
for
for
you.
you. Yeah.
Like I said, I hope he has at
I hope he
least,
finds a way to get a nine.
yeah, right. But I hope he at least has
I know
the
he's
degrees.
battled some adversity in his career. He's had 2 or 3 seasons get cut short early on injuries.
And well, of 9 years, I mean, he definitely had a COVID year there too,
Yep.
which
Now
is
we just got
weird.
to find something else.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Um, well, on that note, though, what we are going to do today. Okay, so this is how we're going to break this down. We are just going to go through round ones. Okay, we're going to go through round ones, and we are also going to give you a pick of our final fours, and we're going to give you our who we think can win the whole thing, and we're going to end with a couple um 11 fives and or 11 sixes and 12 fives. We're going to see if we can pick a couple of those upsets, because you know that those always come down to it. Um,
I
and
got a
as
really good feeling on that 5-12 on which one it's going to be. I'm curious if we're in the same boat here, but
I know, me too
It was
now.
one of those games that
Um,
really jumped out to me right away.
yeah, and that too, and also as we go through, I have same thing with. There's always an 8-9. There's always a 9-8 under upset too. That's another one
Yep.
to keep an eye out on for. Um, okay, though. But with that being said, I'm gonna start. We're gonna start over on the east, Robbie, because that's if I'm reading a book, it's left to right. So
Top
I'm
left.
gonna go, yeah, top left over here on the east. So I'll go ahead and go through mine, and then I'll go through yours. Okay, so UConn Stetson. I got UConn winning this one. Definitely the number one team in the country, I think, right now. I think the only team that can really beat them is themselves. But they have their weaknesses. I just don't see them having the weakness against Stetson. FAU versus Northwestern. I'm rocking with FAU. They've been kind of up and down, but 25-8. They've played good when it mattered. And as they did last year, they had a fun little run there. I think FAU at least gets out of the first round. Okay, San Diego State UAB. Now, I've been a huge San Diego State fan all year, but UAB has really, really impressed me. And I know their record looks a little wonky with 23-11, but still, that's 23 wins. I'm actually a really big fan of this Dragons team. Um, I'm going with UAB in this one. Then we got Auburn versus Yale. Bruce Pearl, absolute animal. Their whole entire SEC tournament was bloody and just trampled over teams. I'm loving Auburn in this one. Then we got BYU versus Duquesne. Going with Duquesne in this one. I think BYU to me has been really inconsistent, and I've lost too much money on them. They've been put on my fade list, so I don't care if they win. I'm going to be fading them all tournament long
Done.
if they do make it. Illinois, Morehead State, rocking with our Fighting Illini. Washington State versus Drake. I really like Washington State all year long. And then Iowa State, South Dakota, going with Iowa State. And we'll go into why later. I really like the Cyclones, but I'm rocking with Iowa State with that. All right, what's your rundown?
So we definitely got some different games here. Starting off up top, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not betting against UConn. I got FAU beating Northwestern. Wasn't the 5-12 upset that I picked. I got San Diego State winning that game. That one I thought about. I thought honestly long and hard about it. That was one of the games that took me the longest.
This is one of the
Because I've
tougher
always been a
matchups
huge
for
fan
the.
of the 5-12 upsets.
Yeah, well, this one's a tough one too because both teams could be considered underdogs and Cinderella
Yep.
stories throughout. I think it's just a weird the way the bracket goes. I like San Diego State a lot. Um, I think if these teams weren't playing each other, I would pick them to win their own respective games. It just happens to be they're playing against each other. But I'm not mad at that San Diego State pick by you.
Yeah.
I like it too.
And going down to the next game, I'm with you. I'm a big Bruce Pearl fan. He has a whole team of guys that play defense, balls to the wall the entire game, every second. They don't take plays off. For that reason, I think Auburn's going to be the first team that has a chance to upset UConn later on down the road. But after that, I know they're on your fade list. I still feel like the talent is there with BYU. They should win this game. So I'm going with BYU over Duquesne.
They should win it, which is why I'm betting opposite.
They probably won't.
Because
But
there's been plenty of times where they should have won. There's been so many multiple games with them like at like -4, -3, or even on a parlay, and they're like -300 or 500, and they've blown it for me. So I'm
yeah,
I'm,
just
I'm
done.
done with them.
Next one, this is one of my biggest upsets of the bracket of the whole tournament. I feel like Morehead State's going to upset Illinois.
I like it.
Illinois is just inconsistent. They have a ton of talent. They could be one of the most talented teams in the entire tournament. But they don't always play great together as a team. So I think Morehead State's going to be coming in with a chip on their shoulder, and if they just play solid fundamental basketball, they can have a chance to win this game.
I like that. That's a 14-3 upset, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to that. There we go. You've heard it here. Morehead State over Illinois by Mr. Robbie. Pick 'em Rob.
Next up, I got Drake upsetting Washington State there.
I like it. I like it.
Solid team. I think they're only 7, 8 losses on the season. She's been consistent throughout the whole year. I know they haven't played quite the level of talent, but all you can do is win the games that are on your schedule. You can't do anything about that. And Iowa State, South Dakota State, I don't think that's much of a game right there. I'm rocking with the Cyclones as well.
Yeah. Again, I think if you look at us, we have upsets, different versions of upsets. I think this is one of the tougher regions to come out of. And I'll tell you, and when we get to it, I'll tell you who I think is the easiest route. But I think if you even just look at what we just did, there's upsets that are happening across the board. But I think, for me, I think UConn and Iowa State are two of the
They
top
very
four
easily beat Falcon
teams
in the
in the
Elite Eight.
yeah, and they just are stuck in the same region right now. So that's I think this is a tough, and you got Auburn in there. Yeah, I think to me that, and even Washington State. I mean, I think this is a tough region. It might be, in my opinion, the toughest region on the bracket right now. All right, let's move on down to the West. We cool with that?
So that'd be North Carolina's.
Yep. All right. So it looks like Wagner's in, which doesn't change anything for me. Okay. All right. So I'm going North Carolina. They win. Don't bet against Tom Izzo in the tournament. Going with Michigan State over Mississippi
You took the
State.
words right out of my mouth on that one.
All he has to do is get in, and somehow he
Yep.
did. But I'm not betting against him right now. This next game, St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. This was a weird one for me. I didn't know which, because I don't know too much about either team. But over Mikey Overs over on TikTok. So this goes to him. After hearing his picks and then doing a little bit more research, I'm liking this Grand Canyon team over St. Mary's. This is one of the ones I like. But shout out to Mikey Over. Yeah, shout out to Mikey Overs for actually giving me the confidence to go with my gut on this one. Then we got Alabama, Charleston, rocking with Bama. They are just so quick and electric. I like their basketball team a lot. I know they've had a couple, setbacks this year, but I think they're playing some pretty good ball. I think it's just speed up and down the court team. They're fast. Then we got Clemson, New Mexico. I love the New Mexico team. I'm taking New Mexico all day. I think, honestly, the ACC didn't have the best showing, in my opinion, I don't think there's a lot of good ACC teams that are in on this one, and I don't think Clemson's one of them. So I think New Mexico gets this one. I think Baylor gets it over on Colgate. Okay, Dayton, Nevada, another do not bet for me. Fade list. Dayton, they've been put on my fade list. All 7 of their losses, I had big money on those. Okay, so done with them. And I like this Nevada team. I think this Nevada team is going to actually shock some people. And I think they started right here. And then Arizona, Long Beach. Arizona is one of the most consistent basketball teams in the country right now. And there's reasons why they're number 2. And I'm taking Arizona there to round out that. What do you got?
We've got a lot of similarities there. Rocking with UNC as well. I'm the exact same way. I don't bet against Tom Izzo, and once he gets to the tournament, still was one of the coolest things. Got to see him recruiting Kenny Freeze when we were in high school. It was like
that's 2 years in a row. Kenny Freeze. We got to get Kenny Freeze on the podcast. This guy.
Yeah, but getting to see Izzo like 10 feet away in person was like just surreal as a kid. I think that was like the first like super famous person I was ever like close to or around, and I was like, man, this is awesome. This is one of the greatest coaches in the history of college basketball. This is nuts.
Epic. That's epic.
So always going with Michigan State as long as they're not playing my Buckeyes. I'm taking Grand Canyon as well. That was my 5-12. And St. Mary's has a good, solid, fundamental team. But the little bit of research I did on this Grand Canyon team, they're fun. They're up and coming. The school, the university as a general is just up and coming. Their athletic programs have grown tremendously over the last 5 years. And I always like when there's a little bit of a Berg connection there. Now at North Carolina, formerly was coaching at Grand Canyon University,
Oh,
Rachel Ferguson.
I didn't even, that's 2 years in a
We
row.
got a
I
we
didn't
got
even
a
think,
Berg connection.
I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even making that connection in my head. But wow, and that's 2 years in a row. We did the same thing last year. That's because when she was going to UNC. All right, look
Yep.
at that.
All
All
right.
right, let's
Yeah.
go Grand
Oh, we
Canyon,
talk about
baby.
the same people over again somehow.
Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
go.
Next up,
I love it.
I disagree with you on the next game. I like Bama a lot. I think they're fun, but Charleston always has scrappy teams. And scrappy teams find a way to upset other teams in the tournament because they just want it more. And they don't care if they're not supposed to win. And it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. That is why I'm riding with Charleston.
I will admit this Charleston team has been very solid all year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely I think Bama's got their hands full with that one. So I don't disagree with you that that's a potential that could happen. I would say I'm not sure on the spread, but I would definitely take Charleston's points in this.
Yep. So next up, I was feeling the same way. Not super confident in the ACC this year. I got New Mexico upsetting Clemson.
I just think
Baylor
there's
over.
such a big drop off between the top and everyone else in the ACC right
Yeah,
now. I just do.
I agree. It seems like you're all fade team. I'm gonna bet on all of them. I got Dayton beating Nevada.
Dude, Dayton should win this game. All right,
I know, like
they
it
should.
just makes sense that they should win. They're the better team.
Yes,
They're the more talented team.
and that is
We
exactly
all
again
know
same thing with
that
the
doesn't
BYU thing.
always mean that you win.
Out of here.
And then after that, as much as I'd like to ride with my dude Snoop Dogg in Long Beach State, and I grew up, that was the first school that I wanted to go play baseball at. I wanted to go play at Long Beach State and go be a dirtbag. I think Zona actually, little early prediction. I think Zona's coming out of this bracket.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I've gone. That's weird that you said that because I've gone back and forth with this on that, and we'll get to that when we get to the Final Four. But dang, you might have just pushed me back because I went another direction. But originally I had Arizona. Oh man. All right, all right, all right. Let's go over to the South now. South, which
Dirty
is
South.
so. I would say to me, this is the second toughest bracket to come out of, or the region to come out of. It's funny. This whole bracket is a lot of Texas teams in this one.
Yeah.
But I am going. So let's start with Houston versus Longwood. Houston to me is the second best team in the tournament on my watch. Defensively, they are the best in the country. So I think Houston gets this one done. Take the under 2 in that game. Texas A&M versus Nebraska. Rocking with Texas A&M, rocking with the Aggies in this one. Again, I'm same with the ACC. The Big Ten, it's been really up and down. I mean, besides again Purdue, I mean they kind of just train wrecked people, but not a fan of the Big Ten. So, very you'll see very limited Big Ten teams coming out for me. This is not Nebraska to me is not one of them. I think Texas A&M gets this one done. Wisconsin, James Madison. I think this is the one where you should keep an eye out on, but I'm rocking with the Badgers in this one. Duke versus Vermont. Going with Duke. That's just a solid team. But wouldn't be surprised either if they blow this thing. Then it comes down to NC State versus Texas Tech. So I am a huge fan of Texas Tech, but I mean, sorry, I'm a huge fan of NC State. I really, really, that was fun watching them go through that whole entire ACC tournament. I literally was in Atlantic City watching that game where they upset Duke, and it was amazing to watch because there were so many Duke fans that were in the sports book cheering them on, and I'm just quietly there because no one's there, and I didn't have a bet on the game, but I live bet the game at like plus 200 odds. Their center 6'9", 275, absolute freight train of a man. Love him, so I'm rocking with the Wolfpack in this one. Then we got Kentucky, Oakland. Oakland's been a really, really weird team this year. They've surprised a lot of people. They've won some weird games. Kentucky, to me, has been so up and down. I don't think this is their year, and I'm having a big upset on this one. I think Oakland gets this one done. I know this one's a weird one, but again, it doesn't really, to me, this game doesn't really matter because I have NC State winning 2 in a row here. But this is the one in this bracket. I think Oakland is going to surprise a bunch of people. Then we got Florida versus the winner of Boise State, Colorado. I think Florida wins this one. They've been, again, they had a great SEC run until they faced Auburn. I like the Florida team. They ran the table on Alabama, so I like them. And then you got Marquette versus Western Kentucky. WKU, baby. I'm taking that one as a massive upset on that one. So, yeah, that's me. But again, if you look at this, I think this is the second toughest region in the conference or in the bracket in the tournament, because you have a lot of teams here where, yeah, they might be ranked there, but if they were on other sides of the region, they might be ranked a little higher. So again, when I look at like a Western Kentucky Marquette matchup, yeah, it's a 2 versus 15, but I could see that as like Marquette if Western Kentucky was somewhere else, like they may be a 12th or 11th seed on the other side. So I'm rocking with Western Kentucky in that one. All right, what do you got for the South?
I think Houston could end up winning this game by 50, starting us off. Going past that, I have a little different outlook on the Big Ten this year. So I feel like every time I look back, when I expect really big things out of the Big Ten and March Madness in the tournament, they always let me down. When the Big Ten's got a lot of high powered teams, I feel like they always let me down. But it seems like the years that they just kind of everybody looks and average is the seasons that we end up with 3 teams in the Elite Eight, and 2 of them have no business being there. So for that reason, I'm going back to back Big Ten here, Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Okay, I like it.
Uh, Going past that, I got Duke.
Yep.
I know it's early in Shire's career, but God, he reminds me so much of Coach K. Just all the time he spent around him, both as a player and being his protege. His mannerisms, I see a lot of Coach K in him. I feel like he's going to do a great job keeping that program going. I went back and forth on this one. And after listening to you talk, I almost regret my pick that I have on this. But I took Texas Tech. I feel like that's going to be a really good game.
It is going to be a good game. And here, let me also say this: before the ACC tournament, okay, North Carolina State wasn't having a stellar year, but
they got hot though.
They're hot. And again, DJ Burns. So I want you guys to remember this name, DJ Burns Jr. Okay, 6'9", 275, should be in the NFL. Okay, should be playing football. That's a offensive tackle. Okay, he moves like a point guard. Dude is a freak. So I love him. I love him. But Texas Tech's also, again, you look at this game, this is a 6 versus 11 matchup, but this should be like an 89. Like this is a tight matchup. So I don't hate your Texas Tech pick here either.
I feel like if you can get a solid bet on plus 4.5 points for either team, I feel like that's good money. I think this is going to be one of the first buzzer beaters that we see of the tournament.
It's 4.5 right now. That's where the line is. So
yeah, I feel like that's solid money. After that, I told you earlier, it was the first like organized basketball team I ever played on. We were the Kentucky Wildcats. So I've been saying go big blue ever since then. I've been riding with Kentucky. I agree. It's not been a great year for us. Inconsistent, a lot of young kids. You never know, though. Coach Calipari doesn't recruit scrubs.
No.
So
and hey,
they're there for a reason.
The only games that matter are now. So
After that, I still dislike this basketball team for beating my Buckeyes, but I'm going with Florida. I mean, that's been what, 15 years now, and I
It's a long
still get
time.
I could still picture Joakim Noah celebrating. Uh, anyways, past that, man, I hope you're right on this next pick. I think it'd be awesome to see Western Kentucky pull off the upset, but I think Marquette wins it.
Big East, they're good. I mean, they're
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, and that's Marquette's just they're consistently good year
Yeah.
in year out.
I mean, you look 25-9. They've had a great year. And again, I think the Big East this year has been super tough. I know there was a couple teams that got snubbed, but um, I'm excited with them.
Yeah,
All right. So that's
right.
going to take us down to the Midwest. Now, this to me is the easiest region to come out of. Now, I put a post, and a lot of people are giving me flack. They're like, you have a lot of chalk in that bracket. Well, it's because, again, I think it's the easiest one. Now, I could be totally wrong here. Okay, this could be upset city, but to me, I think the top seeds in this bracket have the easiest route. And I think if you're looking at what number one seed has the easiest route, like the easiest go through, it's Purdue. I
So
mean, yeah, go ahead.
I have to agree with you, Hunter. I have one upset,
Okay,
and
you know what's funny? I wonder if it's the same upset I have because in the first round I have. I'm just checking real quick. I think I only have 1, 2 as well. Um,
and
I have two technically. But that also depends on what happens tonight
yeah,
on this playing game, which is happening right now, and the team is not winning. But going down, Purdue versus the playing team, it's Purdue all day for me. Again, I think
can we jinx the cheat code and Zach Edey again?
look,
Oh man, I
they
just saw
have a
those
history of
popping up.
blowing it.
Yeah, we said it couldn't be done. We said that they couldn't beat him. The
And
team
even
that
the
upset him didn't have a guy over 6'6", did they?
no,
It was a bunch of tiny guys. Like
yeah.
they looked like dwarfs around them.
Yeah, Edey got in foul trouble early, and you can tell they're not a very good team when he's not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I was listening to Barstool Sports. I think it was Mark Titus. He played for Ohio State. He was saying, and I agree with him on this one. Edey doesn't really have a bag. He's just tall. He
Yeah,
like creating shots and like post footwork movement. He doesn't really have it. He gets and generates a lot of points just off of rebounds, putbacks, and just being tall.
yeah.
When he's off the court, you've noticed, especially these, the 4 games they've lost, the teams that have beat them, they get Edey into foul trouble early, and they attack the paint because he gets a lot of breaks. I don't know if anyone else notices. Watch Purdue a lot. He gets a lot of they take him out a lot to rest him, and again, it's got to be because he's just a 7-foot monster, and that takes a lot to run up and down a court. But they don't do very well when he's not in the game. They give up a lot in the middle, and they give up a lot of rebounds. But with that being said, as long as they don't blow it, I think they make this thing all the way to the Final Four. But I like Purdue in this one. Then this is one of my first upsets in this side, this region, in that I'm going with TCU over Utah State. Then we got Gonzaga versus McNeese. This if there's an upset to happen, everyone's saying it. Like I'm hearing it all over. It's going to be McNeese, but I'm going to go with the Zags in this one. I just don't see them losing. Then we got Kansas versus Sanford. I like Kansas in that one. The Gamecocks over Oregon. I like the Gamecocks. Again, we're talking about a team that's only lost 7 games. They've been kind of under the radar the whole time. Then you got Creighton, Akron. Akron's been fun to watch, but I think Creighton gets this done. If Virginia wins tonight, then I got Virginia going in over Texas. If they lose here, which they're losing right now, I'm gonna have to repick this. But then I got Tennessee going over St. Peter's. All right, what do you got for the Midwest?
Cool. So I'm pretty much chalk all the way down. Purdue, Utah State, Gonzaga, Kansas, Gamecocks, and it's just too close to home not to pick them when they're riding hot. Just won the MAC tournament, and I love me some action. I'm going with the Zips. I got
In a epic
and,
fashion, they won it too.
yeah, and as much
Underdogs
as
all the way through.
pretty sure he's still out there, but Dougie Bucket's dad, Coach McDermott, out there at Creighton.
Yep.
Great coach. But you can't put how much goes into a team riding high when it comes to March Madness and just feeling like they can beat anybody.
Yeah,
And all it takes is just getting hot for a couple of weeks.
I agree with you.
I'm gonna go with Akron on this
All
one,
right, I
but
like it.
I got Texas winning,
Okay.
and I like Tennessee a lot.
I do too. I like Tennessee too. Um, they're one of my. I have them going to the Elite Eight for sure. All right. Okay. Let's go Final Fours. I'll let you go first on your Final Fours. Who you got going in the Final Four?
UConn,
Okay.
Arizona, Houston, Tennessee. No
Ooh,
huge crazy upsets. Two ones, two twos, but I feel good about all four of those teams.
I like that. I really do. Which is funny because you have all your Final Fours. I have going to the Elite Eight, but I have a little bit different for my Final Fours. So
Okay.
I'm going Iowa State. I love this Cyclone team. Literally,
Ooh.
they're my favorite. They are my favorite team in the whole tournament. I'm going to be riding them the whole way. I've been going back and forth with you on this one, and I may after this I may switch it. But right now, my gut's telling me UNC is going to beat Arizona in the Elite Eight, and I think the Tar Heels get their punch their ticket to the Final Four. But I've you can see it. I have it scribbled out like and changed multiple times. UNC
Okay.
Arizona, UNC like so. I'm going right now UNC, but after this I might change it.
You have UConn matching up with Iowa State in the first. All right, so we're
Yeah,
the exact same four right there.
yeah. And then Houston, I have them going on to the Final Four. I love that Houston team. And then I have Purdue beating Tennessee in the Elite Eight game. I just I just don't see Purdue messing up yet. I feel like they'll get to here, but then they'll mess up because I don't have them going to the national championship. But let's go national champions. I what I'm predicting, okay, is I'm predicting an Iowa State Houston national championship rematch from their conference championship, and we're going to see an absolute barn burner of a defensive game, and I'm taking the Cyclones to win the whole thing.
Wow, I like it. So worked in the past, gonna ride with it again. I got UConn going to the championship game. I'm with you in Houston. I think Houston's gonna get there too. I'm going with the Huskies though.
I
Can we see a repeat?
Yeah, I think to me before all this, and again, it's just the way these teams match up. I mean, I think that Final Four game, if it plays out, the UConn Iowa State game, that could be a national championship game.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's unfortunate that these two are in the same region.
There's
Um,
always that one region every year that you're
yeah,
like, man, I feel bad for any team that's just bad luck.
yeah,
There's not a single game that you could look at it and be like, well, we should be able to coast on this one.
no, that's a tough
They're
one.
all going to be knockdown, drag out fights.
And I do like the Huskies. I do like them a lot. And I think if they beat Iowa State, I think they win the whole thing. My thing is though, this Houston defense, I'm gonna be really that's the one thing I keep going back to. And defense wins championships. And this Houston defense is very, very hard to score against. And that's why I think they beat Purdue at in the Final Four
So
if
I
they get there.
actually had another defensive team that there was one point that I almost had them coming out instead of
Okay.
UConn. But I could see Auburn making a run and being the 4 seed and coming out of that region.
I went back and forth with this one too. Again, I think if Auburn was anywhere else, I'd be going with them all the way to the Final Four.
I mean, going literally, you go across the board, you take Auburn and put them in the 4 seed in any other region.
I'm taking them
I like them. Yeah.
all the way. All right. So we kind of went into our 5-12 matchup or our upsets during our picks there. So we got those. So just rewind on that because we're almost out of time here. But yeah, good luck to everyone. Post we would like to hear who your Final Fours are. We would love to hear uh who you think is going to win the national championship.
Who's going to be the biggest upset?
Yeah, I think that's the other one. I honestly, and again, someone said because so I said I was like, here's two Cinderella stories that I put it on my TikTok, and it was Power Five teams. I picked Auburn and NC State, and they're like, well, they're not really Cinderella because they're Power Five teams. I said, yeah, but like Auburn's,
Is an 11 seed. How are you not a Cinderella
yeah, well, that's what I
story?
said. I was like, NC State's an 11 seed. Okay, first off, to me that's a Cinderella story, and then the Cardiac Cats. Second, Auburn's in the toughest region. Okay,
Yeah.
because like really it's 1 and 2, and every game that if they have if they make it, they have to beat UConn, right? Like they have to go through UConn and then go through Iowa State. So like again, to me, that's a tough four. That's like anywhere else you're looking at an 11, right? So to me, that's a tough four. I think Auburn. That's why I picked them as a Cinderella. But I think I think this Grand Canyon. I think that's a big one, and I liked your um you had a 14 over. You had two 14s over threes.
Yeah. So I had no, I had
Morehead State.
3. I had oh yeah, correct. Yeah, I had
You had
Morehead
Morehead
State
State,
and
and you had
Akron.
Akron. Those are two. Those are two right there. I like that. I like those. You heard it. Hey, pick them, Rob. Just drop that down. Look for Morehead State and look for the Zips of Akron as two underdogs here. Two underdogs to keep your eye on. All right, buddy. Hey, this is fun. I can't wait to reconvene with you next week after all the dust settles and see how terrible.
I was gonna say, see if we got any of them right.
I think last year it looked like someone just killed our paper. That's how much
Oh,
red was all over it. Um,
I think I threw it away after the second round. I'm like, hell, I only got 2 teams left. I can remember that if they win or not.
done. Just X, X, X. But as always, this has been fun. I love March Madness. Is again second favorite time of the year. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We love you all. Be safe, have fun, gamble responsibly. Also, don't forget to head on over to SoBet. SoBet, you can join and download the app and enter code RSR, and you will get exclusive sports content from over 50 different sport creators. They are amazing human beings that drop a lot of great insights and give you the advantage on how to take down the books. Robbie, thank you, good sir. Best of luck to you. I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. And to everyone else, keep the change.